Good morning. No, it's afternoon. Good afternoon. And here with me is Chris Reeve for Better, Smarter Learning. And hi, Chris.
Hey, Rachel. How you doing? You're right.
I'm good. Thank you. Yeah. And Chris is a digital content an influencer on LinkedIn. So today is all about LinkedIn and better, smarter learning of ways to be a LinkedIn influencer and some learning tips from Chris. So we're going to get into that. And firstly, I just want to thank our sponsor, Passion Toolset. Thank you very much, Passion Toolset, which is a book and a masterclass. And Passion Toolset permanently shifts mental blocks of coaches, leaders and learning students. So if that's any of you out there, and coaches, it helps them supercharge their business, leaders, the complicated nature of managing people, and students, procrastination and overwhelm, dealing with that. So it has some 7 tool sets to deal with that. So thank you to the sponsor. Now we can get on with the really interesting part, which is Chris and him sharing his knowledge. So Chris, you've been in the business about 7-8 years, and you've been with Digital Boss about 2 years now. Yep. So take it away. Is there any way you want to introduce yourself? Did I do an excellent job, or would you like to say a bit more?
Yeah, for sure. It seems crazy now you put it as 8 years. It's been a long time. I've always been in and around the social space, which has enabled me to learn a ton of stuff along the way about various people in various different industries, small, medium, large businesses, corporate, casual, like a real vast amount. And that's why I'm quite well set now in the agency world, certainly locally. So I specialize in helping people with their social media, really, in all sorts of avenues. As a business, as Digital Boss, we tend to specialize on LinkedIn. So that's through a process that we call LinkedIn targeting, whereby we target people's customers based on their interests, their geo, their company size. And then we've got a system in place that really helps with follow-up and things like that. But yeah, so a little bit more about me. As I say, I love social media. That's why I do what I do, because I love it. And I really enjoy just helping people in general, particularly small businesses. I'm really closely affiliated with Big C, which is the local cancer charity for Norfolk. And I run a football fan channel, co-run it with a guy called Reeve, who happens to be my best mate, who also happens to be the guy that has the same second name as me. And that's the biggest.
You're not a brother. You're not a brother from another
mother. No, it's just such a weird coincidence. But again, that's really helped, because we've literally grown that from literally absolutely nothing. It was in Jack's bedroom, and it's literally exploded now over the last 2-3 years through podcasting and other stuff, social stuff. In short, that's me.
And it's Norwich City Live is the podcast.
So the actual podcast is called Talk Norwich City. And it's broadcast on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud. I believe we're on some American thing now as well, which I can't even remember. But yeah, it's literally been mental, and I absolutely love it. It's good fun.
Well, you and I are both aligned, because I've been podcasting a couple of years now. Previously, I was interviewing entrepreneurs, but because I'm a coach and specialise in coaching and writing my own tool set, I thought, no, I really need to specialise in learning. And what I love about everyday learning something new, and learning off someone who, like yourself, who's skilled and who's gone out and run their own podcasts and learn everything about social media. So yeah, you and I love our podcasts. What are you saying?
I said you've got a great job. You've got a very fun job.
Fun job, yeah. Well, I get to meet people and like you say, working with Big C, making a difference, which I think is what we all really start our job to do. Is we like the specialist skills that we do, but we want to make a difference in that area. So yeah, like you, I just started the podcasting because I just wanted to learn off new people. And you're interested in football, but at the end of the day, we're interested in our specialist skills, but want to impact the people in that area. And if we can provide value, then people will watch it at the same time. So
Yeah.
That's why I've got you on the show, so I can learn more about, you know, social media. Am I doing the right things? Because even though I'm producing lots of videos and podcasts, you know, it's good to get the tips from you. So share away, please, Chris. Is there somewhere where you want to take us first with?
Well, I mean, the main thing I wanted to talk about was LinkedIn connecting. Actually, there seems to be this thing with LinkedIn at the moment where you have to abide by certain hardcore etiquettes where you can't do anything because it's LinkedIn and it's all very scary and structured. One of the things that I've incorporated for my own sales strategy is targeted connecting. So for anyone that doesn't know about this at all, if you go on LinkedIn on your desktop, if you go to the advanced search setting, you can actually specify not just by name, but you can actually break it down by industry. You can really easily see people that work for Apple, for Google, for example. You can break it down by quite specific geos as well. So quite quickly, you can actually penetrate markets that would be quite hard to if you were to, for example, cold call. It's still doable, but it's much harder work. Obviously, the thing with LinkedIn is people are more susceptible to value exchange, I believe. So it's always on your time and not their time, because you're sending them a polite request to add you to their professional network. And I've just found by opening the door to people that I have no idea who they are, I've actually, you know, really created some fantastic opportunities for both myself and the organization that I work for. And it's all been kind of really just breaking down that thing of everyone starts out on LinkedIn as I'm only going to connect with the people that I know and or I've worked with, or they just have it as a CV, which is cool, but it's a massively underutilized resource for your personal brand as well as business. And I think there is a slight stigma with business at the moment where some organizations don't allow people to have their own personal brand, yet by having a personal brand, that is the superpower to sales in the modern era, 100%. Because if people buy from people, it's a classic phrase, but it's completely true. If they like and trust you, they'll buy you, they'll buy your services, and they'll use you over and over again. And actually, quite frankly, the real easy thing to do is just start connecting with your target market on LinkedIn. Don't just sit there and pump out content and hope for the best. Go out there and try connecting with some new people.
Yeah,
so that's the main thing, really.
I do totally agree, and I'm the same as you. I will literally approach anybody and start, and I won't kind of do that whole conformity thing of, oh, they're senior and I'm junior, or, you know, as in it might be someone who's like a learning and development director for a big company or something. And your worst thing is to think of, you know, oh, I'm trying to get them to do something. You yourself add value. And Dory Clark, who's an influencer on YouTube, and I was reading one of her articles in Harvard a couple of days ago, she was saying that's the worst thing you can do is go in and go, oh, I have nothing to offer. You're amazing. Please connect with me. And people don't want to know. They haven't got the time. And they really don't want to know if you're, you know, that kind of subservient, you know. So you're absolutely, you know, I agree with you, and I do the same thing. Is how can you add value and how can you be really interesting and just kick it off as an interesting, you know. So I agree.
Yeah, I think that you touched on a fantastic point there, Rachel, about adding value. I think that's super important. So I'm not just talking about peppering, spamming connections on LinkedIn. I'm saying actually there needs to be an organic yet structured follow-up process to that. So just like you would do perhaps with cold calling or email marketing, social media marketing, specifically with LinkedIn, have a strategy. So here's mine. I'll give it to you for free.
Yeah.
At the moment, what I tend to do at the start of the month, I'll connect with 50 people from my target market, because I know that if I talk to 50 new people a month, I'll be able to hit my revenue target. Once I connect with those 50 people, I normally send them a nice warm welcome message. In that welcome message, I am not selling. Do not sell on the first message. It's a crime. It's not a good thing to do. It instantly turns people off, and they just think, oh, you're just one of those guys again. So really nice welcome message. Just say thank you so much for welcoming me to your network. And then what you do is you follow up that person the following week. Leave them alone. And this is it. People are quite aggressive with sales. And actually, I think the more laid back you are, as long as it's structured, that you're quite laid back, and you just leave them alone, let them reply, let them do what they've got to do, but wait a whole week, and then you hit them with normally a value-adding piece of content. So one of the best things that we do for our clients, and also myself as well, is I would normally send someone a blog or a video that I've done that's of value to them. So I'm giving them something for nothing.
Send that directly to their inbox.
Yeah, correct. So rather than just posting that content out there, you might say, hey, Rachel, I noticed that you do podcasting. I've just seen the latest news about the fact that Google are going to be transcribing podcasts, and that's going to help towards your SEO. Then all of a sudden, Rachel goes, oh, wow, he's just bothered to send me something for free. That's really cool. It's personalized to you. So you're not just sending them any old rubbish that's to do with your business. You need to go out of your way to genuinely try and help that person. So then if they've ignored your first message because they're too busy, because quite frankly, 90% of the time they're too busy to respond straight away, there's then almost, in a weird sort of way, a sense of guilt, actually, which is, oh, I've not responded to that guy, but now he sent me a value-adding blog or a video to help me. So this almost guarantees responses. It guarantees responses. And for me, that is insanely powerful, because if you can start conversations with people whereby you're giving them value for nothing, they will like you, they will trust you, and then they've invited you to sell to them. And that's the key.
Yeah, and I think the biggest two lessons, like you say, is just take all your judgments away. Like we said, approach them, forget about who you are, who they are, and oh my gosh, they're a big person, I want to get them as a customer, like you say, selling. And I think the second most important lesson I've learned in any conversations and communications since being a sole trader as a coach is just don't take it personally, because people are busy. And I used to be so upset and so needy about all these things. Oh my God, they didn't, okay, that's it. They hate you. So that's the biggest thing I've done is it's not about you. Just keep remembering them. What's going on for them? What can I provide for them? If they're really busy, how can I save them time? How can I give them something? So
that's so true, Rachel, and that's a fantastic segue into my next kind of conversational point here, which is actually
you Chris.
You can tell I do podcasts, can't you? And you know, it's all about if you can create content bespoke to that person, that is what you do. And people make the mistake, and I'm going to credit Matt Sykes, who's been my sales trainer in the last couple of years, for this. And he says it's a fantastic thing, and he's got a book called Sales Club. Actually, go and check it out.
Ooh.
Learn a whole lot. And one of the things he says is people are just weeing everywhere all the time. We do this. We're the best at this. We've won this award. I've got news for you. No one cares. No one cares. What do you give to? So how are you helping someone? And as long as the consumer, the person on the other end of that content or that piece of or that DM can understand that you're giving them something that will actually genuinely help them, that's how you do it. And that's what needs to resonate throughout your LinkedIn content as well. So yes, you can post about winning an award, and that's fantastic. But I think in a weird sort of way, we need to break down the stigma of there's quite a lot of vanity on social media. It's a problem, particularly on Instagram, and LinkedIn is quite often a place for humble brags, and that's nice to celebrate achievements. But I see a lot of people constantly doing that. And actually, what's going to happen over a period of time is that your connections will go stale, because they're like, oh, here he goes again. Chris is going on about the fact that he's, gone to Twitter flight school or whatever. No one cares about the fact I've been to Twitter flight school. What they care about is they care about what have I learned from that that's going to impact their business. And that's what I need to portray either on DMs or in my content as well. Actually, just going back 2 steps as well, Rachel, when it comes to targeted connecting, a lot of people are like, well, I'm not going to connect with them because they're not my target market, or I'm not going to connect with the middle manager because they're not necessarily in a position they're not a decision maker.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that that's quite short-sighted, and I think that there's more of a space now to start thinking in terms of long-term currency. So, people get promoted, right? And I think that it's really powerful to connect with multiple people in an organization rather than just Derek. So it's fine, I'm connected with Derek, the director. And I've had it on a couple of occasions before where I've connected with someone and it's been going really, 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 really well. They're really up for doing some business, it's going well, I've given them a value-adding blog. And then Derek moves on, but because I haven't connected with anyone else in the organization that's being promoted, there's then a risk of that deal falling through. So I guess in a way what I'm trying to say, I actually have this phrase, and you'll have to forgive me for having a slight sweary. It's called AGAS. I'm not sure if I told you, Rachel, on our first call together, but AGAS is a new phrase that I've coined. It stands for always give a shit. Okay, so if you are doing that for all of the people that you're connecting with, you'll be fine. So don't just connect with decision makers, because you never know where Beth, the receptionist, is going to end up. So all I'm trying to say is with LinkedIn, start opening the door a little bit wider, start being more open and susceptible to different conversations with different types of people, because you never know where it could end up.
Okay. All right. So if you connected with Derek in that specific organisation, how would you then go and connect with some of the other people in that? You just then target the other people in that organisation and say, I know Derek, I'm having a great conversation. Can I have a conversation with you as well? Or is that how you...
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes actually I won't send a note with it. So if they already know that I'm well connected with Derek, I've been having a conversation with Derek. But don't only connect with one person and be like, no, I've got the... You need to have the monopoly on LinkedIn. You need to start connecting with lots of different people within the organization, start developing your relationships elsewhere. It's not going behind someone's back, it's just connecting. So what I'm trying to say here is we really need to break this stigma of having got a closed LinkedIn network. I think that the more you open it up, the more chance you've got of winning business. It's very much like at the moment, people are just kind of sitting there and waiting for someone to open the door, right? They're just waiting for people to come their way. But why not post a letter through someone's door? And that is effectively what LinkedIn Connecting is doing. You just need to start posting some letters through some doors and start adding value to people. And as soon as you turn that switch of actually, no, I'm here to help people rather than to sell to people, honestly, it will really, really help. I've had the most successful year of my career, and it's been purely through LinkedIn. I get 80% of my business through LinkedIn. I get probably 10% of my business conjoined of Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and then 10% is through networking. So there's a massive emphasis on LinkedIn that a lot of people aren't spending enough time on. And I guess the other thing to bring up in that section as well is a lot of people say, well, my target audience are only on LinkedIn. Okay, very valid. But for example, at the moment, organic reach on LinkedIn is going through the roof. It's brilliant. But this exact same thing was happening with Facebook, where reach was excellent. You know, your post was actually staying on the timeline for longer. And now what's happening is it's hard actually to combat the algorithm there. So this is why I'm saying now, I cannot stress enough to anyone that's watching this, double down on LinkedIn now, but you need to start developing the other platforms just in case LinkedIn, the organic reach goes down. So don't put all of your chips on social on one particular platform with the blinkers of, well, my target market aren't there, so I'm not talking to them on there. Start developing those platforms in the background now as we speak. Be really open, have some really good brainstorming discussions with your members of staff, and start coming up with some ideas for the other platforms as well. And the way I would say, how do I word this? So, for example, on Twitter, I've built a really good personal following on Twitter. But the thing with Twitter is now it is harder for your post to be seen because organic reach has gone down. The timeline is very, very busy now. And LinkedIn, in my opinion and prediction, will end up that way. So, but at the same time that I was running my Twitter account, I was building a following on Instagram and doing bespoke content for Instagram and doing bespoke content on LinkedIn and growing a subscriber base on YouTube. So all I'm trying to say is, and this is why I'm in a job, because people can't handle it because there's literally just too much to do. With social, open your eyes to all the different platforms. And I guess if you could take one thing away from this conversation today, just start to open the door to different types of people, because you never know where they'll end up. Yeah,
and from a coaching perspective, set yourself a target and measure at the beginning of each month, like you said, so 50 or 100 people that I'm gonna. So did you say you connect with those 50? So to connect with those 50, surely then you have to send invites to say, 100 people, because you're not going to get every one of the 100. Is that what you're saying? You send so many invites, and then of those invites, you connect with 50. What's your
yeah, so 50 includes the people that will ignore me. Okay. So I'll send connections requests to 50 people, and out of those 50, 30 of them will ignore me completely, and then 20 of them will respond, and then 10 of them will have a conversation with me, and 5 of them will agree to a conference call or a face-to-face meeting, and then in the end, 2 people will choose to sign up. So that's the way it works for me. So it's important to have that formula in your head, because if you don't have that formula in your head, you're just kind of aimlessly going out there with your machine gun. It's a bit of a crude explanation, but far too many people are just machine gunning their target market, trying to just get to anyone. It's so much better to just get your sniper rifle out and get them straight away.
And like you say, and you have that conversion rate in your head that.
Yeah.
And that doubling down. So take up Chris's challenge today, anything from this podcast, and target 50 people. And we want to hear, anyone who listens to this, of the 7 or so people registered, we want to hear from you at the end of next month when you've done that, and how many people you've actually had some really valuable conversations with. Because as your coach, I'm all about measurements and checking behavior. So
if you follow this method, you are guaranteed good discussions. 100%. There's an absolute bottom line. You will create good connections.
Yeah.
The other thing that I want to talk about as well, Rachel, is I really want to talk about articles on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So a lot of people aren't
I'm just saying hi to Tristan. Do you want to say hi to Tristan?
Hi Tristan, how you doing?
Hi Tristan.
He's a good
carry on. So
Anyway, so articles are really underused. I think that articles should be for everyone. It doesn't matter what department you're in, whether you're in sales, whether you're in marketing, whether you are just on the phone as an account manager. You need to be writing articles from your opinion of your industry, because the more you pump out that thought leadership content, the more likely people are to buy from you. So that's one of the things that has gone down really well for you. My biggest problem at the moment is people say to me, well, Chris, that's not the right type of content for LinkedIn. That's, oh no, I've only got my mobile phone for video, blah, blah. Well, I've got news for you. Doing mobile video is so much better than not doing video. There's not a 10 out of 10 piece of content doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And sometimes in terms of the actual impact, it looks like it's a 10 out of 10 piece of content. But the one thing that you'll know, Rachel, I'm sure, Gary Vaynerchuk, one of the things that he lives and breathes is document, not create. And so I think a lot of people that are on LinkedIn are trying to create the perfect sculptured post. Actually, just post consistently every single day and you will win business.
Can I give you a tip for myself? Well, I like to have some nudges, because sometimes I forget to post stuff. And I like to get that consistency, like you say, but I also like it to be organic, i.e. I see something that's relevant to my market and I want to post it. So just a tip to people, subscribe to a content platform like Harvard Business Review, which is for me. I mean, yours might be some social media magazine. Subscribe to something like that. They post me loads of stuff, like daily little snippets of read this article. The ones that I like, I put aside. When I've got time, I'll read through those articles, and then of the real ones that are very interesting, or this girl, she's really good, go here. So I make it relevant, organic, but you've got to build nudges into what you do, or else you'll forget. So that's how I do it, is stream to some sort of content place like Harvard or one of the big ones. I can't remember now, it's all gone out of my brain. But and then it will give you something to talk about if you're rubbish at talking about stuff.
And Rachel, that's a great piece of advice. I absolutely, totally agree with that. I think another key component part that is definitely worth talking about right now is engaging with people. And again, if you apply ADAS, always give a shit. You need to be, I set myself a target of engaging with people, 5 different people on each platform that I'm active on every single day. This actually quite often isn't isn't business related. Actually, someone might have just got a promotion on a job, or actually they've just moved house. If it's on, it might be Facebook, it might be completely irrelevant to business, but be going out there having conversations with people on a daily basis. Don't just post your content and expect people to care. You need to show you care about other people, because if you don't care about other people, why would they engage with your content? And the more that you engage with other people's content, your content then comes up on their screen on LinkedIn. So why wouldn't you go out there engaging with people's content? And so and again, you don't have to write this really well articulated, strict and structured piece of advice on LinkedIn that's value adding. It could just be, for example, one of the things that I do when I see a cool piece of content in the social media world, I go, Rachel, this is an amazing piece of content, like great work, that's absolutely incredible. Full stop, done. Tick the box.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do.
I do that, but I don't think you're right. It's a good reminder for me. I don't think I do it enough. I do engage with people, and like you say, if I see something fantastic, I'll say, well done, that's brilliant, or it doesn't matter if I know them or not. So you're right. I have to get that more. I'd like to get that more consistent and more engagement.
Yeah, and Rachel, that all comes down to having your own personal strategy as well as your business strategy. So people are getting. I think people have almost nailed a social media strategy for business now. But what is happening now that people are not spending enough time on is you need to have your own strategy for personal. So that includes every single day with your cup of coffee at the breakfast table, like I do, engage with 5 people on every single platform you're active on. Then when you get to work, connect with 50 people on LinkedIn. And then you need to make sure that you spend some time during the week to share content from your company page with your own personal comment on your link. I don't know why I'm doing this with my hands, but I am. Onto your personal account, because then your company page will grow. And I've got news for you. If you're not a manager or a director, that gets you tremendous amounts of boss points. If you're sharing company content with your own personal opinion, your company page will grow on LinkedIn. So be doing that as well. So you need to have a really structured, organized way of doing social. Don't just sit there and share the company announcements because no one cares.
No, I stopped keeping my business and my personal separate on Facebook. Now I just engage with my personal, but when I want to draw them in, I'll draw them into my private company, because I've got a group for my passion toolset. So I'll then draw them into the passion private group. But I've stopped. I've just used my personal profile now. So you're the same person for me. I don't see you. You have your personal, then you have the business profile, then you have a private group, and then it's just all confusing.
I think the line is kind of degrading a wee bit now. I think that actually you can post more personalized content on social for business. I mean, personally for me, I post about Norwich City because my target market are from Norwich. So if I'm posting about Norwich City, that's then going to resonate with my target market. So that's what I tend to do. Oh, Rachel, your screen's gone off. I'm not sure if you're still in.
Oh, your screen's gone off. So that's strange. Okay, so I don't know if it's your signal or my signal, but I'm in my hotspot. So I don't know.
That's okay. I'll keep talking. What I'm going to say.
Yeah, go on.
Don't be afraid. What I'm saying is, please don't be afraid to add a personal touch to your LinkedIn. So, for example, if you're an avid skier and you've been away on holiday on a ski trip, don't be afraid to share that on LinkedIn, particularly salespeople that are listening to this conversation now. If a salesperson is just posting company updates, how can people build rapport with you? Put something out there so someone has gotten into understanding you. So the first thing I do is I look at my target market on all the different platforms and I find out whether they're a Norwich fan. And then I've gotten in and I've got a conversation with them. Tristan's asked a question. What's he asked, Rachel?
I was going to say, so just one for you, Chris. Thanks for the question, Tristan. I focus most of my time on LinkedIn for business, although my personal brand is non-existent elsewhere on platforms such as Instagram and Twitter. How would you suggest starting a personal brand on typically personal social media channels? Good question, Tristan.
Huge question. There's a lot of different component parts to that. And the one piece of advice that you should just definitely get straight away is it's very hard to build a personal brand if you're just writing general stuff about general stuff. So for example, if you are within the fashion sector, you need to be writing content for, let's think of an example here, jeans. okay, and niche right down to something. So the reason why I've been able to build a personal brand over the last few years is every single day I'm consistently posting about Norwich City. And it doesn't matter if Norwich lose or win or draw or it's boring or it's naff. All I'm sharing is Norwich City content all the time. So if you're in the digital sector, share news from the digital sector. If you're in the coaching sector, share news about the coaching sector. A lot of people are scared to share content from potentially competitors or people that are better than them, but actually it doesn't matter because people will find it anyway. So in terms of building a personal brand on the more personal platforms, I mean, I can go into quite a few different regions here, but let's go into Instagram. So Instagram, again, niche up straight away. You need to portray yourself as this person that specializes in that area or will be talking about that area, to the point where you might write in your bio, I post pictures about jeans, or I post pictures about chocolate, or I post pictures about IT. And then as soon as you do that, people know what they're going to expect. And then every single day you pump out content and you keep it going. The biggest reason why people fail with building a personal brand is it's kind of like a fun little fluffy project for 6 months, but it takes a good 1.5 to 2 years to build a large personal brand anyway. So that's something that I can say straight away, Tristan. I hope that helps.
That's a really good way to answer. Thank you for that, Chris. And I've just had one more question from Ashley. So I'm going to try seeing if this part of the software works. So we click start answering and then we can share this online. Okay. So his question is from Ashley, my company's Twitter page has 12,000 followers, but we are starting Facebook from scratch. Yeah. Any suggestions on how to grow a page from the beginning? So I'm just going to press start answering. Okay. Okay, so hopefully you can now answer that question.
Okay, so yeah, I can. So as of Wednesday, the 24th of July, because you know that social media is constantly changing. This is 2019 we're in, by the way. You know, to build a Facebook platform from scratch organically is extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. You need to have a paid boosting budget. You need to be able to boost posts on LinkedIn to your target market, to people that are interested in. You do need to do that. So one thing I'd advise straight away is, obviously the content needs to be exceptional. I would advise that the advocates within the business that work in the business, invite your friends and family to the page as well to get it going, to get the numbers going. But it's so crucial now with Facebook that you have a paid budget to really make it grow. If you've already got a page with loads of likes, it is actually quite easy to grow still organically. It's slower these days, but it is still attainable. Whereas if you're starting Facebook from scratch, it's good. You should definitely do it, but have a paid budget and start boosting. And also what I'd suggest is, I think Ashley said there that you had 12,000 followers on Twitter. Indeed. One thing I'd advise is actually a bit of cross-pollinating, fluffy marketing phrase. What that basically means is post on Twitter that you've now got a Facebook page. Okay, that's thing one. But number two, why would anyone like your Facebook page when they can see your content on Twitter? So you need a USP of content going out on Facebook. So for example, if you are within the brewery sector, so the reason why you'd go and like our Facebook page, Bill or whoever, is because you're going to get behind the scenes content on Facebook. We ain't showing you that content on Twitter or on Instagram, so you better go and follow us on Facebook. So that's a really powerful way of kickstarting it as well, making exclusive content to that platform.
Great. So I'm going to press done answering. So we'll have to see if that little piece of kit works at the end. So we connected your answer to that specific question. So thank you very much. We are over. So with your permission, Chris, because I'm sure with your Wizzy stuff, you can cut the videos and take bits of what you want. We promised this would be 30 minutes. So one more question from James. If we have time, what would your advice be, would you give to young people about developing their personal brand? Social media is obviously very important in teenagers' lives. How should they be harnessing social for their futures? I assume they are anyway, because my kids, they're on it like a car bonnet. I mean, they know what they're doing. What would you say, Chris? Do they know what they're doing?
I think it can be. I'm not going to hide from the fact that it can be a dangerous sphere to be in at a young age. I think that actually, I think there is some responsibility with those that are more experienced to try to educate our kids. Maybe this actually is within the education sector. I'm politely pressing on here. Please start teaching the pitfalls, but also the opportunities with social. I would also obviously advise, I have this written rule. I don't put anything on social media I wouldn't want my grandma to see, okay? If my grandma sees me shouting, swearing, videos in clubs, the amount of people I see on LinkedIn still with selfies from clubs with their bottle of Grey Goose, I'm just like, what are you doing? So I think for young people, it's really important that you look professional no matter what platform. And I'd also really look into your privacy settings. I have a written rule that I keep Facebook personal and private. So I share my personal and private content there. I still keep it fine and professional just in case. But it's worth maybe thinking in your head, okay, right, where am I sharing? For example, if you're having a night out with your friends, don't not have the night out with your friends. And if you want to take a selfie video, that's kind of cool. But just consider where you're putting that. Can someone professional in the industry that you want to go in see that? So I think it can be damaging. And I think for people that are now becoming young professionals, go back through your socials, spend a couple of days doing it on and off, track back through your timeline and delete the stuff that doesn't look good. Particularly if you have to add, for example, colleagues or employees on embarrassing pictures, just avoid that, I would say. But I'd say for young people, there are so many young people that don't go on LinkedIn. I think, without doubt, Instagram's the most popular platform in terms of the boom, the actual curvature of people signing up to it at the moment. But I would say get on LinkedIn. And a lot of people will say to me, yeah, but Chris, I'm just out of college, Chris, I've got nothing to add. Add your projects as media in your profile section at the top. Any videos that you've ever done, if you're a designer, upload your design content, upload school projects. If you're into geography, upload your geography project. You know what? If you've not done any projects, just start posting some content about maybe, hi, my name is Bill, and I'm looking to get into the agriculture sector in, I don't know, Thetford. Can someone help me with that? Question mark. And just start being proactive on LinkedIn and not being, don't be afraid of LinkedIn because it's a professional network. It is a professional network, but you're not going to get anywhere unless you ask the question. I hope that helps.
No, that's brilliant. Thank you so much, Chris, and hopefully that answers your question, James. I'd just like to say thank you for Tristan, James, and Ashley for participating. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be the bad guy and cut it short because we're now at 37 minutes. But I would say keep interacting with this. We are going to post this, guys, on LinkedIn. It's going to be on YouTube. Chris is going to put it everywhere. So if people have got more questions after this, because I think what you've said, Chris, are some really very clear steps and some pieces of advice. So if people want to come back to you, where do they need to come and ask you a question, Chris?
So the most proactive platform for me is LinkedIn, obviously, as you would have learned. So please connect with me and don't be afraid to connect with me and don't be afraid to ask me any question anytime. And I have a policy where I respond to absolutely everyone. And again, maybe that's actually one of the reasons why I've been able to build a personal brand, because I'm responding to everyone. So it doesn't matter how dumb you perceive your question to be, please just reach out and ask me, and I'll answer any questions on social, on LinkedIn, on Instagram. If you're a young person, you're starting your professional career, by all means, just contact me anytime. So LinkedIn's the best place. If you want to email me, my actual company email is chris@digitalboss.co.uk.
Great, I have learned some stuff from you, and hopefully everyone else has, and they can go and implement it. So some better, smarter learning of how to deal with LinkedIn and becoming an influencer. And I really like your names references of, I think it was like Bill and Ken or something. So I do question the names out there in Norwich. Is that what everyone's called? There are other names available. But yeah, thank you, Chris. I've really been great to talk to you. And thanks, guys, for Tristan, James, and Ashley. Okay, see you later, guys.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.